Hey everybody, welcome back to our neck of the woods. So today is finally the day that we got a few days in the future here that all look like good weather. So we are going to go ahead and start tackling the siding on the house. So let's see how much we can get knocked out today before we kind of hit this transition right here. And then we'll figure out what we're going to do up in there and how we're going to have to block that off, go get some OSB, put that up, and just take it one step at a time. So let's get going. So first thing I gotta do here, the boards that are on the house now, those were 4x8 sheets, and now we're transitioning down to 16 foot long by 16 inch wide. And they've got a tongue and groove pattern, so I've got to cut off that tongue or groove, whatever you want to call it, on that last piece so that the new 16 inch wide piece can fit up in there, because it falls right on where one of our ICF furring strips is going to be, and unfortunately that tongue and groove pushes it over too far and then I won't hit it. So this is going to be challenging, that we have to hit only 1.5 inches. It's going to be challenging that some of these are covered up, like right in here you can't see anything at all, but then down here you can see the new Dura strip. So it's going to be interesting to try and get every single 16 inch right in the middle of one of those. And then as far as I was told, we can go ahead and use a ring shank nail to put these on. We don't have to screw them. So that's going to be interesting if it actually works out and how well it holds to it. The one thing that I don't have to worry about is once the siding is up on the rubber wall and it's somewhat stuck to it, give it a day and the siding will stick to this stuff like glue. We'll never be able to take it off, and if we do, all of the rubber wall is ripping off also. So I don't know, we're just going to break out the nail gun, hit a few in on the first panel, cut that groove off, and then we're just going to see if the nails actually hold and the ring shanks don't explode the plastic inside of the new Dura, or if they actually do a nice tight grip and hold it firm. All right, so day one coming to a close here. I need some special strips. I only have like the 3.5 that are covering the window. Up here, I want to do like a 4 or a 5. Might have to rip cut it down, but that way it hangs down over the shingles that are kind of going up there on the house. It'll go all the way around there and then protect all of that and hide that. And shouldn't really notice too much of a difference, the fact that it's like 4 inches versus 3.5, everything else. But it'll hang down a little bit lower. It'll cover up there. Then I can put in my battens here. Obviously, as you can see, my boards made it all the way over to here. And I kind of stopped shy at this window because now we've got enough overhang up there that it's starting to like fall back in. And that's where I have to come through with some like OSB 1/2 inch, put in some studs behind there. That way it can't bend backwards and fall in. But just got the window finished, trimmed out. So tomorrow looks like we'll just do some lower pieces or some trim pieces up here. And what I decided to do down along there is raise those ones up like 5/8 of an inch. And then I'll go ahead and caulk all of that so the bottoms are protected. And then I'll do another like 5.5 inch trim down there that will go from the other side of the deck all the way up to the gemstone over here. And then the batten strips will sit on top of that, and I'll raise it off of the deck so that way everything can kind of go down. There will be issues with water sitting underneath or on top of the deck, the last board there, kind of underneath that trim piece, but that's why I want to get that trim piece up off of the ground. And if that trim piece ever goes bad, it'll be easy to rip off and change out. And with the siding up more than what the trim will be up off of, that will be protected, that siding should never rot out or ever go bad. But that trim board and the first piece of deck in there, that's just something that we'll have to keep an eye on for water. If it doesn't drain back or drain down, it just is what it is, but we'll keep an eye on it. So I'll see you guys back in the morning. Got to clean up because I've got like no sunlight left, although probably doesn't look like that on camera. So I'll see you guys back tomorrow morning. All right, so getting started on today. Last night I went and got about $2,000 more worth of LP Smart siding, some 2x4s, and a whole bunch of nails and OSB. And what I decided to do today was I'm going to finish out the siding going up to the gemstone and running it long up to that truss up there. Then that truss is the only truss that's not attached to anything like on the bottom, so it can have room to like kick in and kick out. So I'm gonna get some 2x4s, kind of like this 2x4 up there. I'm gonna connect it to all the other trusses and then push it, which it needs to go in a little bit, attach that down so then that truss can't move anymore. Then I'll take a piece of OSB, run it behind there, and attach it to the truss going up there. And then I'm gonna take some 2x4s and turn them sideways and cut the bottom of them at like an 8/12 pitch. And then they'll go in between each one of the seams of the pieces of siding. And then again, I'll attach it this way and screw it into the back of that truss and through the OSB. So that way it makes a nice foundation for that siding to sit on. The 2x4 gives structural rigidity. And then I've got 3 inches of nailing surface to put my batten strips up that I can shoot a nail through the siding and through the OSB, and it'll hit that stud basically. And then that should stiffen all of that up really well. The only problem I noticed last night is I don't think this is gonna look good for the siding just to end right here. And I'm not gonna put a batten strip right here because I think the last batten strip is right here. So it wouldn't make sense to have 2 batten strips like only like 6 inches apart, especially going all the way up there. So what I think I'm gonna have to do is remove these gemstone pieces right here, which are gonna be impossible because they're probably glued to the rubber wall. But if we remove these, then I can get the siding to go underneath of here. And then where these screw holes are, I've got a Nerdura strip that we can screw back in through here. We'll screw in through the piece of siding, and then this end right here doesn't like flap in the wind because there's nothing to attach it to right here. But I need to get under here basically. So hopefully those come off easily. Hopefully it'll pull some of the rubber wall off of, but it's not a big deal being behind there. But we'll see just how difficult it is. But hopefully that's the game plan, that we can get that behind there, and then we can just caulk in between the siding here and the gemstone and make that side right there look good. So I'm just gonna set up, get started, but that is the game plan, to see how difficult all this is going to be. And then we might just move over to this side over here And then eventually I'll have to figure out how we're gonna put the OSB all the way up in that area so we can continue the gemstone all the way up to the peak of that truss, and then get that side finished off too. All right, I gotta run to the store real quick. I ran out of caulking, but I just got that trim piece up over there that I was talking about. So you can't even really tell the difference that piece up there is 4.5 inches versus the pieces down there and around the windows that are 3.5 unless you're really looking for it. But at 4.5 inches, it overhung that last shingle there a little bit. So all the nails were covered up. It went down low enough to that last shingle. It's actually like on the glue line. And I'm still gonna probably caulk the trim to the shingle kind of underneath of there. But that's all nice and trimmed out there. Just need to caulk over here now and get those last batten strips on. And then this will all be done up to the last 4 more strips there. And then everything up in there turned out really well. We went ahead and again got that OSB piece in there first, then put some 2x4s running all the way down that are screwed into the back of that last truss. They're also screwed down into the roof sheathing, and then that way anything up in that wall can't really bend in. If it does bend in, or if it's really weak, especially like right up here in the middle, when we put the 2x4s vertical going up there, what I might also do is take a 2x4 and go down at an angle so that it's screwed in to the vertical 2x4, but then an angled 2x4 can go down to the roof decking, and that way that wall can't bow in because you've got that 2x4 pushing back, which is probably going to be a problem once we start moving into the gemstone, because 1, the gemstone isn't going to be structurally sound, and 2, there's probably almost 5 feet there that 2x4 can definitely bow in if the wind pushes on hard enough. So we'll probably put some lateral braces on. But that turns out good. I can't do any trim up in here yet because I want to put the roof on first, or the ceiling. So the ceiling will go in and dead end into the LP, and then I can put that last piece of trim up in there and hide any of the cuts from the ceiling. So I don't know when I'll do that, but I want to get back tonight from the store here, and I want to start boxing this soffit out here. So that way we can box it out. We need to put a light in there. We need to figure out how much LP we're going to put up in here to trim that out, plus the soffit that needs to run down there. So we got a few things that we got to do. So I'm going to hurry back from the store and then see what we can finish up tonight. All right, everybody, I'm back from the store. Got another case of the Dynaflex. I don't even know how many cases I'm on now. I've used so many, it's ridiculous. But I just got finished installing that upper piece, getting it all caulked out, putting on 3 more batten strips. And then real quick, I just went ahead and caulked down there. So if you remember, I left about a 5/8 of an inch gap so that the siding's not touching the deck. I just caulked the siding all the way down there so that the siding and the caulking and the rubber wall are all one now. So any wind-driven rain that gets thrown in there has a chance to leak on down behind the deck and go down. And the piece of trim that I'm going to put there, I'm also going to space that up maybe like 1/8 of an inch off the deck. So any water that tries to get under there can come on off. And if the deck is expanding and contracting, then the deck isn't pushing up on my trim piece. So I'm going to get that piece cut right now to go along the bottom. and then I can get 3 little strips in there for the window done. I will not be able to do up there until we get the ceiling on, and then I can put the batten strips on because they'll obviously dead up into the bottom of a piece of trim just like it is up there. So we'll have to do ceiling first, then trim, then batten, and then I can finish out this whole section. It'll be 100% done. But at least for right now, I want to get that lower piece on there. And then I think I'm going to cut another piece for this corner down in here, so we make that look a little bit nicer and prettier. So hang tight, and I'm going to wrap this up here, and then we'll see what else we can do. Hey everybody, while there's a break in some storm showers here, I'm pretty much just going to wrap this video up here. Yesterday I started doing a little bit of hand painting on that last gallon that I had bought when we went and did the vault down in the basement. That black can was maybe 3/4 of a way full, and I started getting most of the house over here painted with its first coat, and thank God it blended in very well. In fact, I can't even tell over there where it blended in. I think it's like 3 panels in or something. Close to that window, but I did run out right there, so I went and got more Sherwin-Williams paint from my friend who's a manager, and just got an amazing discount. We went and got 3 5-gallon drums this time, or big buckets, so that should be more than enough that we can use a gallon or so over here. And then once this dries out and it's not so humid, I'll go ahead and tackle the paint on this side, and then I'll get that wall finished out, and then the front of this house, siding wise, will be completely done. And then once that's knocked out, we'll just have to wait and hit summertime, I guess, to where we can get the yard a lot more dried out, so that way I can get the lift in here, and we'll probably get up in there and do the OSB up in there, throw some Tyvek on, and then we'll side that too. But Erin did decide on this gable end up here, she wanted it to look like the gable end over here and the gable end that's going to go there. So it's not going to be a board and batten up there. It's going to be the LP Smart Side shingle shakes, if you want to call them. So we'll probably have to purchase more of that, because I only have enough of those shingles up there for the gable end wall on the other side. So we'll have to purchase a little bit to go on the front of there, and then I'm assuming she's going to want the same to go back over here on the rear porch. So we'll need not many at all, just maybe 4 or 5 pieces or something crazy, because up on there really is no kind of gable truss up there. It's not really big at all, just a few square feet. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. So again, at least you guys got an idea of what, again, more of the house is looking like. It looks freaking amazing. The black blended so well. The fact there's a year difference in between the two. And I love that we can get such an awesome exterior paint for such a cheap price. It's gonna work out so well that we at least have one hookup. And just another update real quick though, I did get a hold of the plumber finally. He came over, he gave me a quote, and the quote for plumbing the house with materials and labor is $10,000. Now, is that a good deal? I don't know. I told him I would probably end up purchasing the material myself. That way I don't just have to bust out $10,000 all at once, especially like a check to just a single person. I can go to the store and get it myself if I wanted to. Technically, if I ever wanted to go back to Menards, technically I could get the stuff from Menards, and then I would be given the rebate on all of the pipe. But unfortunately, pipe right now is very expensive, so I don't know how much it's going to be. But as long as I get enough 3-inch and enough 2-inch and couplings and fittings and stuff like that, I'll at least know what I'm paying labor wise. So he's not just going to say the material's X amount when it's really not. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Is it worth $10,000 to plumb the entire house, or should I end up doing it myself? Let me know what you guys think. But again, wrapping it up here before the storms come back. Let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. Hit that thumbs up button if you like the way that it's looking, and we'll see you on the next project when we start going down, getting the ceiling on, and completely finishing this front porch 100%. So until then, take care, guys.